go around the league. What's your first around the league item?
Yeah, I'm sure you'll agree with me. When you look at the division, you just notice the AFC is wide open. I mean, you have two teams that are 6-5, then you have another two that are 5-6, and every team in it, their coaches in the locker room, they're telling their players, we can win this thing. We're only a game or two out of it, and they're right. You know, usually it's just false enthusiasm, it's just pep talk, but when you look at the AFC South, every team in that division could say they can win the division if they pick their game up.
It'd be a lot better for the Texans at 5-6 and being tied for last and one game out of first if they didn't have to play at Philadelphia and host Baltimore. But it's a tough schedule. If you want people to respect you, shock the nation and beat somebody like that. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about Vince Young. We talked about Vince and Bud and Jeff Fisher last week. Let me tell you what I found out. And I've told everybody you can take this to the bank. Bud Adams considers Vince Young like his son. He made them draft him. He made them start Vince his rookie year. He made them start Vince last year. Bud is not going to get rid of Vince. He's going to pay him $12 million in 2011, assuming there's football. And he's not going to fire Jeff Fisher because he doesn't want to pay Fisher almost $7 million. So he's going to make Fisher take Vince. Now, what does that tell the players? What does that tell Vince? And if Fisher were to walk away with a year left on his contract, Bud wouldn't let him go to another team. It could all be a moot point because of the possible lockout, but that is the worst possible scenario is you have a coach, you're shoving a troubled player down his throat. Have you ever seen that?
No, not to this extent. And when you just sit up here and tell me that Bud Adams is going to pay Vince Young $12 million next year to play football, it really lets me know that Vince Young just doesn't get it. This is a privilege to play this sport. All players, I don't care if you're the 53rd man on the roster, you're overpaid because you're getting paid to play a sport, to entertain yourself and others, and I don't think Vince Young just gets it enough right now. And what it tells Vince Young, he's not going to learn anything from this situation. It's telling him that, you know what, I'm more important than the head coach, and it took me a while to say this, but no, you're not. The head coach is the most important piece of a team, and you have to follow his lead, and it's up to him to be a good leader. And with Bud Adams going over Jeff Fisher's head and showing more support to Vince Young than to the head coach, it's going to be a problem next year if they're both coexisting.
Vince did get surgery on that thumb. He got different opinions. He had it done, so he will be 100%. I know you're in that growing fan club for Peyton Hillis. Why do you like the guy?
Have you seen him play?
Oh, yeah.
If you have, you don't have to ask me that question. Guy's 6'1", 240 pounds. He reminds me of an Eddie George. He's a bruiser, but yet he has moves. He already has 905 yards, so he's going to have well over 1,000 yards for the season if he stays healthy. And what I like his story. This is a guy who showed promise with Denver as a rookie. He rushed for only 343 yards, but he was averaging 5 yards a carry. Then the next year when they had the coaching change, all he did was special teams, and they thought that they didn't need him anymore. He went to Cleveland. Now he's one of the best running backs in the game, and I think if he continues this, he's going to be a household name next season.
How in the world did Arkansas not win a national championship? They had Peyton Hillis, Darren McFadden, and Felix Jones in the same backfield. That has got to be the greatest backfield in college football history, doesn't it?
The problem is they didn't know who to give it to. When you have that much talent on the college level, you don't know who to give the ball to, but that is a dynamic trio for a college-type team.
A lot of people around the country are talking about Michael Vick as their MVP. They went overboard, I thought, when he had that first great game against Washington, which has the worst defense in the NFL. But now that he's lost a game, he's 4-1 in games he's started and finished. I believe that Phillip Rivers, who has played without his tight end, his top two receivers most of the season, without his regular running back, he is on that pace to threaten Dan Marino's record now. I've watched him live once and seen him full games twice. The guy just looks tremendous. What do you think about Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, I think he's awesome. And you just throw the stats out. When this team was 2-5, he found a way to rally the troops along with the other leaders in that locker room. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and it looks like they're going to take over the division. When you're 2-5, your season's pretty much dead. You're just trying to win some games and stay respectable around the league. But they said, no, we're still in this thing. We're going to get behind one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And now they're 6-5, and I think they're going straight to the division title.
I picked him for the Super Bowl before the season. I was really doubting that pick. Now, you're a businessman, and I'm sure you love to spend money on your employees because I know you like it when NFL owners spend money.
Right.
Your employees are watching out there. Listen to what he's about to say.
About what now?
Spending money on all of the teams.
You know what? When you spend money, you have to get that return on your investment. And when I think about the return on your investment in the NFL in the offseason spending, I think of two teams. The Bears and the Jets. When you talk about the Bears in the offseason, they spent a boatload of money. They spent $90 million. I believe $40 million of it was guaranteed for Julius Peppers, and it's paid off. It's paid dividends, especially for some reason. He's one of those guys, when the lights and cameras are on, those national games, he just stands out. He plays great. I think he's motivated that defense, and he's definitely been a good presence in the locker room. And they also went out there and got Brandon Mayuluma, the big tight end. He's a big blocking, bruising tight end. So you can't look at the stat sheet to see how he's affected his team, but all you have to do is ask those defensive ends, what's it like going against a 300-pound blocking tight end, then facing the offensive tackle. So he's really been a help. And Chester Taylor, I really like that pickup. They have a young, talented running back in Matt Forte, and he has a lot to learn from a 9-year vet, Chester Taylor, who's been in this league, who's had success in this league. And if Matt Forte gets nicked up, you could always insert Chester Taylor in the game. So I really like what the Chicago Bears did in the offseason, and you have to talk about the New York Jets. I was really impressed with what they did as far as a 9-7 team, made it to the playoffs, but they spent in the offseason as if they were a 7-9 team who didn't make the playoffs. They were very aggressive, and it's showing off now. They're the division leaders. I think they might win that division. New England might have something to say about that. But LT, he's rejuvenated. He's found the fountain of youth over there in New York. Jason Taylor, one of the best defensive ends ever to play. He's still effective, getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And you can't forget Antonio Cromartie. This is a team that already had the best cornerback in the game. They drafted Kyle Wilson, and they have Antonio Cromartie. So their defensive backfield is definitely very deep. And I'm just impressed with how they approach the offseason. And it's paying off on those two teams because both of them are leading the division.
And Cromartie, of course, needs that money to pay off his 17 kids. The Chargers gave up on him. Now, Indy mentioned the Jets and the Patriots. They got that big Monday night game coming up. Rex Ryan has already started mouthing off, we built our team to beat the Patriots. Tom Brady earlier said he hates the Jets. It's a great rivalry. It's great for TV. But here's the problem. New England is rebuilding its defense. The Patriots' defense has replaced the Texans as the worst in the NFL. That means the Patriots are on a pace to be the worst pass defense in NFL history. The Patriots are also 31st in overall defense, even though Tom Brady is playing great. I just don't see the Patriots winning it all with that kind of defense. At some point, you got to think defense wins championships. Jets got a great defense. Steelers do. Ravens do. Patriots do not. I think that is going to backfire on Bill Belichick down the stretch unless at crunch time that defense gets a whole lot better.